There is a notion out there that a suicide attempt is a cry for attention and, thus, this invalidates what the person has done or makes it not serious. I would beg to differ. First off, of course, many suicide attempts have nothing to do with attention, per se, and acceptance, the kind of attention that we all want, the kind of attention most of us take for granted. Look, people are social creatures and we all need attention from others. No, I don't mean adulation, or being the star of the show. I just mean love and attention, the kind of thing that most of us expect to get from the people who love us. And that makes it unimportant is because then they don't have to care. Concern themselves about the event. Some say some suicide attempts are a cry for attention, and thus unimportant. So what if a suicide attempt is a cry for attention? And, yes, it still says more about the people involved, that they have to trivialize a suicide attempt, than it does about the attempt itself. A suicide attempt is an incredibly scary thing. Not just for the person who attempted. You can contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988 in the United States, or find a list of international resources at the website below. But also for those around him or her. The person sees no way of getting the attention he or she needs personally and except through an enormous actions that could take his or her life. This is not merely a cry for attention. It is a blood-curdling, all-out, begging, pleading, scream. It is a scream that says, I am in more pain than I can bear. Please help me. And you need to listen to that. You need to give that person all the attention you can. You need to get that person help, or more help, to make that life-risking pain subside. This is a big deal. When was the last time you needed something so badly you would actually risk your own death for it? People don't want to feel scared, because it makes them feel bad. So people want to write off the actions of the attempter as unimportant. This says much more about the people around the attempter than it does about the attempter or the suicide attempt itself. This next time could be the very last time that person ever does anything. A cry for attention may be a desperate attempt to find the love and attention we all need when it is not felt, for whatever reason. So what if a suicide attempt is a cry for attention? In other words, they want someone to pay attention to their medical needs. People have often denied the individual help beforehand. If the person were getting the help when you almost take your life, it's real. It doesn't matter how you try to do it or how close you come. A suicide attempt is a real. If the person didn't take it incredibly seriously, his or her life would not be on the line. An attention he or she needed, he or she wouldn't have attempted suicide in the first place. Why does that make it less serious? Here's the thing. I think people who attempt suicide are usually looking for one of two kinds of attention. Sometimes it's not clear which one or both. But here goes. First, I believe most people who attempt suicide are looking for love. People are also often looking for healthcare attention when they attempt suicide. Parents, loved ones. Listen up here. This is what happens when you ignore your child's loved one's attempt to tell you that something is wrong. Second, even if we assume a person is attempting suicide solely for attention, why does that make it less real? The reason people want to say that a suicide attempt is a cry for attention, however, I think there is something important to consider here. And just to be clear, people who attempt suicide do not want to die. They just want to end their pain. It just so happens that they see no way of doing that except through death. Similarly, if attention really is the motivation for a suicide attempt, so if a person attempts suicide, no matter what you think his or her motivation was, listen, because the last thing you want, or I want, or the person wants, is to have to try again because no one listens the first time. Because if you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, please reach out for help. You can find Nalovetrivol on YouTube, Facebook, Google+, or at Nalovetrivol on Instagram.